We're here today with a couple of my customers. This is Jack, and Jack's an accountant, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself. He purchased some cancer insurance from me a few months ago, and he is kind enough to talk about it today. So, Jack.
How do you do? My background is as a CPA, retired from that, over 65, on Medicare. Roger approached us, probably about a year ago, and started selling this product to us.
The cancer insurance.
The cancer.
However, you were my client with Medicare first. When did we start that?
About a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think.
A year and a half, 2 years ago. So after you were on Medicare for a while, then I swung back to you and said, oh, by the way, Jack, one other thing.
That's right. Actually, my wife was on Medicare first.
All right.
And you kind of straightened us out a little bit on that, had information we had no idea about.
That's what I try to do. All right, and then I swung back, so go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, then you started pitching me on this cancer and stroke, heart attack. My initial thought was, I don't need that. I really didn't see the need for it. My wife was on Medicare, and I had my own insurance policy. I'm covered. What do I need that for? So I was probably a hard sell from that standpoint.
That's typical, but... So what changed? What convinced you?
I took the time to listen to you. And you started explaining to me what is covered and what is not covered. And that was an eye-opener. It was something I really didn't want to think about. I wanted to have the illusion that my current coverage was going to take care of me. Mm-hmm. And I thought it did. This is the way it's sold. This is the way I thought about it. But with my background, my inclination is always to dig into things and find out what's really there. But it took a while and a little bit of prodding to do it.
Right. And then in the end, you decided it wasn't such a bad idea after all.
I saw the value in it. I realized the holes, and they were big holes in my current coverage. They were things that I couldn't fix. And they were things that were important to me. My mother had a stroke, so I was familiar with what goes with that. My father had cancer. I was familiar with that. Fortunately, their cases were fairly short and not financially a real problem. But I could see from that experience where it could just devastate a family and your financial planning. Right. I thought we were covered.
Right. Now you also did some checking into the return of premium. As an accountant, you looked at the numbers both ways and spent a couple of weeks doing that, I think.
I think a couple months.
A couple months, okay. Yes. Accountants move slow, but they get the numbers right.
My initial thought was, when you presented these statistics to me of how likely it is for someone in the family to come down with cancer, I said, well, I'm never going to use the return of premium. The probability is that I will use this policy. So why do I need the return of premium? It comes at an extra cost, and what I was trying to value was, is that cost reasonable? And initially I had big questions about it.
Mm-hmm. But then you did some more numbers, and what changed your mind there?
The probability of someone having cancer is fairly high.
50%.
Yes.
And between a husband and wife, if they're each 50%, you know.
But that's during a lifetime. Pam and I are both over 65. If I were to come down with cancer 15 years from now, I'm not sure I would want to go through all the treatments that this plan would provide for. I've lived my life. I know the probability of surviving them. So at that point in time, I would want to make a value judgment. Do I still need the policy? Do I still want it? On the cancer, probably not. On the stroke, might be a different issue. Mm-hmm. So I thought at that point in time, the cost of it versus what I planned to do did make sense, because you're looking at a shorter window for an event than if I had purchased this when I was 30.
Right, absolutely. And at that time, when you turn, let's say 85, however period, 80 years old, you said 15 years, so around that, you say, okay, I've had the policy for 15 years and now I've got the cancer, and you know what, I'm maybe 85 and maybe I don't want to fight it like I would have at 65. Well, you get your money back. But the turnaround of that is, I just came from a house, and I didn't want to set the camera up just yet. We'll go visit with them again. But I met with some clients your age bracket. He's a little older than she is. And she turned 65 and went on Medicare, and he had had a scare. So we talked to him about cancer insurance, and she was, yeah, it's important, but we're concerned about her husband. That was her concern. But 2 years later, I just went back to their house, and she's the one with the cancer. And I sit down with the husband was there, and the daughter was there, and the son was there, and we went through their Medicare first. After we went through their Medicare, and I showed them what Medicare would not cover in the illness that she is currently fighting, I said, but that's why we bought the cancer plan. And then I went through the cancer plan with them to show them how it will pick up where Medicare does it in this situation. And the daughter made my day. She turned to her dad and she said, Dad, you did good. And that gave me as the agent pride, because I knew I had them well protected.
Cancer and stroke have been painted to be such horrible events that whether you want to look at the event itself and what happens or your coverage, you shy away from it. And so when someone comes selling insurance about it, that forces me to deal with the issue of cancer, stroke, or heart attack. And it's an issue I didn't want to deal with. If I can push it away and not think about it, that's the best thing. So you forced me to do something that I needed to do.
Well, and that's what I try to do with the blog here. I'm trying to teach people, look, this is important. You make a decision one way or the other. If you do something, you made a decision to cover yourself. If you decide not to do something, you made a decision. But I try to force people to have the information to make a decision one way or the other. An informed, well-educated decision.
My level of comfort in what I have done is much greater. And what I'm trying to say is I dealt with something that is a possible event in everyone's lifetime. And having dealt with it, I can sleep better at night. Otherwise, I'm just playing the game of I don't want to deal with this.
So, thank you very much. If we can be of any assistance to you, please feel free to contact us. Thank you.